Hello and welcome back to One Trek Mine with me, Raptor.
And me, Michael.
And today we're going to do just a little bit of a short video because we're going to go through what we think is our favourite hero ship in the Star Trek series. And we're being really specific. We're going to restrict it to the main ship of the TV/streaming series, not including the films here. Just doing the series, and we're only picking one, so we've had to rack our brains to try and reduce all of our preferences down to one.
I didn't think very long on it. I've had my favorite for a long time since I saw her, and every ship since then I'm like, am I going first?
Yes, you can go first.
All right. For me, it is the USS Voyager. I think the Intrepid class looks very, very nice. Practical design. I like the fact that it looks so streamlined, which I realize it doesn't need to, considering it's a spaceship for the most part. There's not many atmospheres to deal with, but Voyager can and does go planet side more than many other ships, and I'm willing to bet its kind of teardrop design is part of that reason.
But it is kind of literally it is the only starship in Star Trek that is built to land.
Is built to. It's definitely not the only one that does.
Unlike
many others have.
Discovery crashing into an asteroid or planet, it was not planned.
Enterprise D crashing into a planet.
Oh yeah, true. That also wasn't planned.
But anyways, I really like the nacelles. Again, just how they lift up when it's actually time to warp is just a neat little feature, I think. And I think it is actually practical too, to keep them further spaced away from each other in the case of some sort of accident, and only when you're actually at warp do they bring them closer to one another. Not to mention the interiors are gorgeous on that ship. Still one of my favorite bridges of any of the starships.
I do agree the Voyager's bridge and Voyager's engineering is my favorite. Voyager's warp core. I don't like the Enterprise D's warp core because it's just boring blue lights that go down. But Voyager's warp core is this coalescing, constantly swirling mass of blue and green, and it just looks really cool.
I mean, yeah, when I saw that, I literally thought it looked just like the Captain Marvel effect because it's blue and yellow lights going in and out from each other. I was just like, oh, that looks pretty sweet, actually. I genuinely am interested in knowing how they pulled off that effect practically all the time. What did they put inside that tube to give them that look? I don't know. That's something I'll look it up right now. You can bring up your favorite ship.
Well, actually, I was just going to mention that the moving nacelles thing, if you remember, was in response to the Next Generation episode where they say the warp drive is damaging space. So
that's right.
The whole thing about the moving nacelles was that it brings the warp field closer to the ship and therefore reduces the damage to subspace that warp drive is causing. Something which basically got forgotten about when it became too much of an inconvenience.
I was going to say, I don't really know why they even brought that up as a plot point in Next Gen, because they very quickly forget about it. They're like, oh wait, this is too much of a restriction, screw that. But if that's their explanation as to why the nacelles move up and down, I'm cool with it, because I think it looks neat.
I like the fact that Voyager developed during the show. You got the hydroponics bay added, and then you got the astrometrics lab later on added.
I really like the astrometrics lab too.
You got new rooms as they were going on.
One of the better mess halls, I would say too. One that, I mean, especially for the time, actually looked like it could accommodate a decent amount of people and was pretty inviting. A lot of the mess halls in other Trek shows that came before that were surprisingly small. I'm like, you can fit 10 people in here at a time, dude. Whether you like Neelix's cooking or not is another story, but I'd definitely give it a try. All the stories we've heard, I kind of know what that stuff tastes like.
One thing I would say about Voyager, it's a criminal shame that they never made use of the aero shuttle docked under the command hull.
I definitely agree.
They even had the 3D animation already done. It was done. They just never used it.
really don't know why either. They even have like the animation for it set.
Yeah, I love the design of the Aero Shuttle. It's like my favorite Starfleet shuttle, perhaps apart from the Delta Flyer. But yeah, like why did they never use it?
Anytime you're underneath the ship, you get a little sad reminder of what
Yeah,
could have been. You're like,
every
"Oh, look at
time
it, there it goes."
they redo the shot of it flying overhead, you just see the flipping outline all the time. It's like you're just rubbing salt into the wound.
Yeah, I don't know why they never ended up going for it. Because again, they have pretty much the whole animation for it detaching from the ship and everything ready to go. Maybe it was just a budget issue of making a model of it, or like building a different interior set for when you're actually in the shuttle. I don't know. But all in all, I very, very much enjoy Voyager. I also really like how its computer system is almost quite literally living, and therefore has higher processing speeds and everything. I suppose it is a downside that your ship can catch a cold, but a minor downside considering all the ups it has to it, I would say.
Yes, the binaural gel packs. Yeah, the ship catching the common cold or any number of infections from Neelix's terrible cheese is a downside.
I found the answer, by the way.
Oh?
Apparently, interior lights were reflected off of these like reflective balls inside of it, and they were all like spun on little motors, and the speed determined like how fast you would see that like swirling effect. And there was a dimmer on the lights to control like how intense they would shine.
That's very cool, actually.
It's entirely just like little reflective balls and lights to make it look like gases, and it looks really good. Like it looks very good. I'm impressed. I thought it was going to be a little bit more complicated than that.
All right, so my favorite out of the hero ships is the Defiant.
You tripped me up. You lied to me. You said another ship was your favorite.
I adore the NX design, the NX Enterprise. I love that design. But Defiant, for me, is the more interesting ship from a Star Trek historical perspective, because Defiant is completely unlike any other starship we have ever seen up to that point. You know, the NX-01, the original series Enterprise, the Galaxy class Enterprise, the Excelsiors, the Ambassadors.
Even until now, I'd say. Like, it's
the
very
Mirandas.
unique.
We've seen a lot of Federation starships up to this point, and they've all been relatively similar. And then along came Defiant, which was completely unique in its shape as this sort of squat kind of trilobite with two little stubby warp nacelles built into the hull and this aggressive sort of shape. And it's the Federation's, in terms of the series canon continuity anyway, the first Federation purposely built warship designed to do nothing but fight the Borg.
and the only one that got the green light on cloaking tech.
Yeah, and you know, and it was given a cloaking device in the show. It had the pulse phaser cannons, which were immensely powerful weapons, and weapons we have not seen on another Starfleet ship since. You know, we've only ever seen them on Defiant. It also brought along the quantum torpedoes from the Sovereign class Enterprise. It also had quantum torpedoes. I just think it's a very interesting ship because it is so radically different. And in a way, I think the Defiant is like a really good ship expression of Captain Sisko. Like Sisko and the Defiant, like they're both, during the Dominion War, they are both inseparable, but they are like really similar. They're really hard-assed, gruff, aggressive fighting things. I also love all the little like secret design elements of the Defiant, like going through the Defiant's like concept design stage. There were some really mad conceptual imagery ideas for what the Defiant would look like. And there's lots of like little hidden things, like the nose cone at the front was designed to like pop off and be like a super massive like torpedo, because it'd be where all the quantum torpedoes were stored. So it'd be like just a massive like
that would have been kind of cool to see.
Bomb. There's so many little elements like that. And yeah, and we never saw, apart from it being in DS9 and one episode of Voyager, we didn't really see too much Defiant after that, which I thought was a shame.
I will say, in terms of like, if I were a Starfleet officer, I would not want to serve on that ship, just because it is so, one, it's so cramped. It's not designed like for comfort like a lot of other Starfleet vessels. But also, if you're on the Defiant, you're on probably a very dangerous mission, more than likely. Like, that ship is designed pretty much just for that. It's not going to be going around on a deep space exploration mission. It's going on reconnaissance or on a warpath. So I certainly wouldn't want to serve on it, but it is a nice ship. And I think it's the very first one to have that holographic tech. Or originally it was, I guess. And then Discovery came along.
Yeah, and then Discovery came along. I mean, I love that also the Defiant's kind of like the Federation building a Klingon bird of prey. And then in the DS9 episode, Way of the Warrior, we see Defiant absolutely own a couple of Klingon birds of prey.
True.
Like, they don't even come near to Defiant. Just like one salvo of those pulse phaser cannons just immediately rips through a Klingon bird of prey. It's just like,
which do look pretty cool. They look, I would say, almost a little Star Wars in terms of just like a rapid fire bolt of energy. Like, it looks pretty cool.
It is proof of that. One of the best lines from the fan-made Axanar project, which was Savol, the Vulcan from Enterprise, talking about a line from Shran, the Andorian, being that you don't push the pink skins to the thin ice. And the Defiant is definitely what happens when you push the Federation to the thin ice. It's proof that this peace-loving, diplomatic organization can then slap you round the face with something really, really heavy.
That being said, the Defiant, unlike any of the other hero ships on their shows, gets destroyed.
Yes.
It doesn't get introduced until about midway through, and it gets destroyed before the end. So it didn't last super long.
The Breen energy dampening weapon, and then they do a
damned Breen.
They do an Enterprise A jobby, and they kind of made a mistake there, because like they basically did an Enterprise A job. They took another Defiant class, a Sao Paulo, and officially renamed it to Defiant. But they never added the -A to the registry, like they kind of should have done, because that's what happened to the Enterprise. But apart from that, yeah,
they just kind of said,
they came back.
Well, it looks the exact same. Like, it's just, we're just going to pretend it's the same shit.
That being said, like, Voyager gets destroyed many times. It just never officially
brought back. The NX-01 also was like seconds away from just falling apart completely, but it did not go out completely. It did come back from it.
Voyager rams an ice planet. Voyager rams a temporal weapon ship.
Enterprise D gets blown up against Fraser's ship. And I feel like there's been multiple situations on Next Gen too. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. There has to have been some other like godlike space being that destroyed them and said, just kidding. Voyager got turned into a Christmas ornament.
That's true. Yes, by Q. Not QQ, a different Q.
Was it our Q? I mean, they were going back and forth in that scene so rapidly, I couldn't tell which one of them turned them into the Christmas ornament.
No, it was the other Q that made them into a Christmas ornament to get away from our Q, which I think is a really weird thing to do anyway. Like, why would you turn a ship into a Christmas ornament thinking that would hide you from another Q?
I mean, it's fun. We're just having some fun. That's all Qs do.
What do you think was Voyager's best moment as a ship? Like, what was its best moment?
Maybe controversial. Probably the moment it gets its future Borg tech-inspired armor in the finale.
The ablative armor.
It
boom, 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 boom.
It just was so neat. It was such a cool upgrade to have. And I'm glad it was only in the finale and wasn't like a full-time thing to make them basically invincible. But it was just one of those moments where, again, it felt like the ship was actually a character and it had like this mega upgrade, almost like a character arc, just in the final moments, which I thought was really cool. Either that or pretty much any moment from what is the name of that episode? Hold on, give me just one moment. Was it Dragon's Teeth? Was that the episode?
Oh, the fight against the Vardois.
I think so. Let me just be sure.
Where it landed amongst the destroyed civilization.
Yes, okay, yes. That moment from Dragon's Teeth where you get like again, it kind of felt a little Star Wars-y to me because they're like on their planet side doing these really cool maneuvers. It's like an action, exciting moment with what are they called?
The Vardois.
Is that actually how it's spelled, or are you doing your accent thing?
It's spelled Vaadwaar. Vardois. It's not my accent.
You're putting an R in there. Is it Vardois or Vardois? Say it's lovely.
Vardois.
You're saying Var.
Vardois.
But there's no R.
But that's what they say in the show. They call them the Vardois.
Okay, fine. I'll accept it. Why would you spell it like that? Jesus. This stuff makes me mad. Anyways, yes, their big shootout with the Vardois was very exciting, very cool. It was one of those moments in Voyager where I was like, oh, I was not expecting to get something like this, and I'm enjoying it quite a lot. Like, I think when you really push the ship Voyager to its limits, it can pull off some pretty cool maneuvers. It's not as maneuverable as something like the Defiant, but it's a whole lot more maneuverable than like the Enterprise D.
The fat one.
The big fat one.
Yeah, I mean, for Defiant, it's probably going to be any of the big fights in Sacrifice of the Angels or the Battle of Chintoka or the final episode. Like any of those big fleet battle scenes with the Defiant is probably going to be the best moments.
You're not going to pick the moment where it almost tears itself apart because it has too much power. Or maybe the moment where it destroys an atmosphere of an entire planet.
Oh, well, that wasn't the ship's fault. That was Mr. Sisko.
I mean, it was the tool that was used. I'm just saying. It was a moment in the ship's history.
If I was going to be specific, I'd probably pick the episode with the gas giant when Defiant is stuck doing this kind of submarine-esque chase with the two Jem'Hadar ships, and they're stuck in the gas giant, and the Defiant gets hit very badly, and the crew is kind of all separated around the ship, but they're also trying to stop the Jem'Hadar, and they turn the deflector into a massive phaser, but then the ship's also like being slowly crushed as well, like almost kills Bashir and Dax. I think that was a good episode for the Defiant. Proved how tough she was. But yeah, seeing her get blown up was also pretty shocking. Actually, the whole Chintoka failure at Chintoka was a pretty shocking scene, because it's like it was up to that point the war had been going kind of better for the Starfleet, and then it suddenly went really bad really fast. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, I've still never forgiven the Breen. Like, show me what your face looks like, and then we'll talk. Until you do, I will never forgive you.
So, that was our favourite hero ships from the streamed or TV shows of Star Trek. Let us know down in the comments what your favourite hero ship is and why. And don't forget, while you're there, to give us a like and subscribe for more from One Trek Mind. But until next time, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me. Thank you, everybody.